Charles Monnett. So I'll try to spend as much time on demo as I can. Y'all seen enough slides today probably. So I'd like to do a quick show of hands. Have you heard someone say, or maybe even said yourself, it is important to think critically when using AI? I expect to see every hand of people who aren't on their phones. I've even heard this multiple times at this show. So I have good news and bad news for all of y'all. It is just a two-step process to thinking critically while using AI. You use AI and then you wave your hands and you kind of think critically. But the bad news is that when we talk about AI literacy, we're kind of selling ourselves short in two key areas. The first is that we are underselling the complexity of what it means to develop these AI literacy skills, these constituent skills in children. I mean, adults struggle with these skills. We're really underselling the complexity of this problem. On top of that, these skills are really, really valuable outside of AI context. I mean, LLMs hallucinate, but people hallucinate too. People deceive. So, anyways, it's important that we not undersell the importance of this task at hand, especially given the fact that the information ecosystem that we are living in, the media ecosystem that we are all living in is, in my opinion, it is poison. We are swimming in a corrosive, acidic environment. Okay, good. Run DMC is on stage now. So it's, geez. Rock around, it's right on time. It's tricky. So the information ecosystem, it is really tricky. And so we're living in an environment that is full of information that is meant to mislead, to deceive, to arouse. And then worst of all, adults struggle with this. Worst of all, we hand devices to children, often small children, and say, come on in, the water's fine. So this is not the world I want to live in, and this is not the future that I'm here to build. So we take, at Kindred K-12, we prefer to take this notion of AI literacy and instead wrap it in something we prefer to call 21st century literacy, or literacy for the 21st century. It includes these constituent skills that comprise AI literacy, but it's combined with other traditional literacy skills, media, information, and digital literacy skills that are vital and durable skills for people to prosper across the 21st century. So it's a big task at hand. So how does Kindred K-12 help? What are we doing about this? Kindred K-12 provides professional learning copilots, or PLCs, what a coincidence, for teachers. We are very teacher focused. We are focused on breaking down a teacher's learning journey to help them implement the teaching practices, the research-backed and effective practices that they need to teach those 21st century skills in students. Another way to think of us is personalized on-demand PD that is always timely and always relevant, saving teachers time and making them a lot less overwhelmed, especially beginning teachers. That's really who we're focusing on, helping them to stay in their position longer. So y'all want to see a demo, right? Okay, thank you. So let's do it live. Okay, so I'm going to show you what it's like to be a 10th grade US history teacher who's using Kindred K-12. And I would just like to point out, while we're on the subject, social studies is the best subject for teaching so-called AI literacy skills. And if you don't agree, you can come talk to me after the session. We can talk about it. So, a lot of AI tools have this problem I call the Groundhog Day problem. You use some AI tool to plan a lesson on Monday or to do something on Tuesday, do something different on Wednesday. It's like the Bill Murray, it's like the Groundhog Day movie. It's like living in a sitcom. There's no continuity. It's a very high cognitive load environment for the teacher, making it difficult for them to adopt routines and protocols that help them build their instructional skills. Also making it difficult for, it's a high cognitive load environment for the students to be able to focus on deep content and skills that they need. On top of that, we're also very focused on personalization and customization to individual teachers. So I believe that the main power of technology is that it turns or into and. And so we are able to get, for school and district leaders to get greater alignment in classrooms across your school or district, while also giving teachers greater capacity to customize the learning that they want to perform on a daily basis to what they need, what their students need, and even their the physical layout of their classroom. Do you have desks or tables? Do you have one-on-one devices? Are they tablets or laptops? What software do you have available to you? These are all things that will factor into the recommendations that Kindred K-12 will make to a teacher. So let's go ahead, let's get a lesson in place for tomorrow. And now we've got a menu of 3 options to choose from. Menu activity, something that a teacher would give for students. Teachers are so often overlooked as far as great practices that they're expected to give for students. We want to get those great practices in the hands of teachers as well. So, or to serve them rather. So starting with what looks like at first a fairly traditional pencil and paper exercise. It looks like a fairly traditional pedagogy, but this is the latest and greatest for this kind of content pedagogy, focused on inquiry-based or document-based learning, if you prefer, building these very deep literacy skills that are needed again for this acidic, this corrosive information environment of the 21st century. But helping you as a teacher manage the screen time. Do you want to be on screens bell to bell for all of your students all the time? Not necessarily. It's not always the best way to teach even these AI skills. So kind of somewhere in between, we've got now a more visual exercise. We can analyze a map, figuring out why did the United States enter World War I. Maybe you've got a classroom with students who are behind. They're struggling with traditional literacies. Maybe you've got a very STEM-rich environment. You want to get some more data, some more economics, some simple tabular data in there. Again, we're doing deep content engagement, but this is on and this can be done pencil and paper or through screens. And then finally, you've got a much more AI kind of native lesson. And believe it or not, for the audience audience here today, this is the lesson that we're going to go with. But again, we're getting very deep content engagement but balanced with AI by generating journal entries from different perspectives, so how Americans might feel going into World War I. And I would just note here that we are having PlayLab do this. We're recommending that teachers use PlayLab to do this if they have access to it. They've got a great system. They've got a great team. We prefer to take more of an ecosystem approach and getting the best tools in the hands of teachers at the appropriate moments, rather than trying to do everything ourselves and be the 30th tool that has a rubric generator or a sentence stem starter. So I'd like to point out here that I have spent 10 years building language processing-based applications. I have several patents for these as well. And so we've gone to great lengths to enforce structure on the input. There's AI under the hood, but you haven't seen any chatbots here, right? These are full product solutions designed to engage people who aren't being flown or driving to San Diego because they're so steeped in AI. We're trying to reach the other 40 to 60% of teachers who are AI reluctant, AI resistant. They might say they'll never use it. And so we're really taking great care to enforce structure on the input of what we pass to AI and also what we get out, so that teachers get far greater control and customization over the output that they get. So you can see here that for this main activity of generating these journal entries, we can offer a few, another menu of choices saying, maybe you could have the teacher generate these entries ahead of time. Maybe you can have the students do it themselves. But notice that the time that it's taking is changing. The focal point of the lesson might change, of having students engage with AI themselves versus having a teacher do it and then giving them, making it more about analysis, reading, and so on. I'd also like to point out here that the materials and prep steps are changing each time. We never want a teacher to get a nasty surprise that, oh, it's 15 minutes and I need a worksheet. Like, you didn't tell me that. That's not a problem that we ever want a user of Kindred to have. The last thing I'll touch on here is that getting into helping teachers build these skills in more depth is I might need a little bit more help looking into how to run this activity, or, especially group discussion routines. If you've been a teacher for 15, 20 years, you might say, hey, I don't need your help running a group discussion. And you're probably right. But if you're a first-year teacher, if you're in your 7th week of teaching, you've got 39 kids in your class, you're going to need a lot more structure, a lot more help working on these routines, saying, hey, let me try something. Let's recommend this. Hey, did that go well? Maybe let's try it again. Let's get you more comfort, get your students more comfort. And so, anywho, so now we can see a little bit more detail. Let's get in a little bit more data about how to use this, maybe how I've used this, when has it been successful, when has it not been? And really bringing together the best of people and AI is that we're also supporting this community aspect through virtual learning communities. Maybe you've got your actual PLC. This is the social studies department of my high school, but maybe it's a small school, a small rural school. I'm the only US history teacher here. Maybe I want to have a community of other history teachers in my county or district, maybe even friends from college. And here again, we're doing deep content engagement while also building on these AI literacy skills. I might want to talk with some content teachers, some US history teachers about the challenges of presenting the so-called path to war for World War I. But perhaps I'd like to hear from someone who's more of an AI expert on how to facilitate the AI literacy discussion. What is the bias? I've got, how well will ChatGPT represent the perspective of a Black soldier who's considering enlisting in World War I versus some more mainstream voices? So that might be someone that maybe that I've had. My noble colleague Winston Roberts has come to give PD at my school through. He's a real person. He better be in the audience. I saw him. There he is. So Winston does amazing AI PD for school leadership through Teacher in a Suit. Maybe he came to my school in August, but it's March, and I can't exactly remember everything he said, but I can get a handle on. I can follow him through Kindred K-12. I can get his tips of. He's an AI expert, much more so than the social studies teachers that I usually hang out with. He can help me lead this discussion on bias in AI, on the training sets, on how it all works, and. Similarly, if you are someone who's interested in becoming more of a peer leader, if you're at this conference, then that is something that we'd love to hear from you as far as how you could contribute to our community and our ecosystem. So I think that's plenty of tech for today, and that's plenty of time for me on the stage. So I'd like to thank you all so much. Thank you.